shiny picture of a cheerful family, there is something far more sinister brewing. Once regarded as a charismatic and assertive patriarch, Kody Brown has now become a master manipulator, playing a deadly game of emotional domination that has reduced the family's foundation to rubble. Christine Brown, being one of his wives, has suffered years of gaslighting, emotional neglect, and psychological manipulation. Her path is as sad as it is very brave. As she seeks to find peace, she starts to realize the high price paid for survival in such an abusive, controlling environment. Today, in our deep dive, we're looking at the dysfunctional dynamics between Kody, Christine, and the other wives. It's a tangled mess of control, emotional abuse, and power struggles, all skillfully masked behind the clean veneer of polygamy. Kody's control obsession has impacted every individual in his sphere, but none more than Christine. The emotional trauma done to her is staggering, and it's high time we shed light on the reality. Hi guys, it's Emma here with TLC's next chapter. If you're as shocked and devastated as I am by the breakdown of the Brown family, be sure to subscribe and leave your thoughts in the comments below. You won't want to miss what's next. Kody Brown's actions throughout Sister Wives is a textbook example of manipulation, particularly with regards to Christine. Perhaps the most damaging weapon he uses is gaslighting, a psychological tactic wherein somebody causes another to question his or her reality. And Kody does this unrelentingly. Consider, for example, the time when Christine tackled him over his emotional distance and lack of support. Rather than taking responsibility for his role, Kody turned the tables. Instead of taking her hurt into consideration, he responded to her by saying, "I don't know why you feel that way. You're the one with the problem, not me." This is gaslighting from a textbook. Kody sidesteps responsibility and forces Christine to doubt her own reality. She cannot be in pain or neglectful because, in his mind, she's just making too much out of things. But that doesn't begin to cover it. Kody's contradictions show how he continuously manipulates circumstances to avoid being responsible. One day he says to Christine they need to work on the relationship, and the next he's distant and emotionally unavailable. Remember how he promised he'd try harder, then belittled her just days later for having the temerity to bring it up again? It seemed like he said what she wished to hear in order to shut her up, not because he intended it. This is how Kody maintains everyone in a state of uncertainty, never knowing what's real and what's just an act. It's a means of evasion, a deflection tactic. Arguably, the most telling sign of Kody's manipulative nature is his narcissism. He has an intense need to dominate every conversation, always be right, and never admit fault. Watch closely, and you'll notice that anytime Christine or another wife challenges him, he immediately shuts it down. Instead of listening, he turns the blame on them. In one especially illustrative exchange with Christine, he told her, "You're just being too sensitive. I can't deal with this right now." It's a move straight from the playbook, avoiding responsibility while shutting down vulnerability or accountability. It's not about them. It's always about him, his needs, his control. There's no place in Kody's world for introspection. In his mind, he's never in error. These manipulative tactics, gaslighting, contradiction, and narcissism brew a whirlwind of emotional turmoil. And, in a sad state of affairs, Christine finds herself in the middle, having to wonder about her own sanity as Kody positions himself as a victim in his own right. It's devastating, yet it is a stark reminder of the emotional devastation created by narcissists. Christine's emotional struggle with sister wives is heartbreaking, particularly if you identify the emotional abuse she's endured. It's painful to watch her struggle to keep self-respect in an abusive relationship. She's not only fighting for her marriage, she's fighting for her sanity. From the beginning, Christine is the one who constantly calls Kody out. She won't remain quiet, even if it means dealing with his fury. But being that brave costs an awful lot of emotional toll. There are so many times when her openness is met with disregard or even cruelty. One unforgettable example is when Christine opened up about feeling emotionally abandoned. Instead of responding with compassion, Kody turned the conversation back on her, dismissing her needs as unreasonable. as if simply wanting emotional connection was too much to ask. But through it all, through the suffering, Christine's strength will not be quelled. She will not stay silent about her ordeal, no matter the cost. Her tears, her anger, her breakdowns all attest to the extent of her emotional pain. She bears not only her own weight, but too often the burden of her children's feelings, and sometimes even that of the rest of the family's dysfunction. But her integrity? That's her survival tactic. That's how she keeps what remaining peace she has and battles for a better tomorrow. In the midst of this emotional turmoil, Christine finds herself rediscovering her strength, particularly with David. After years of emotional asphyxiation, his presence is air. He provides the emotional safety net and approval she's been starved of for so long. What is most interesting is that David doesn't merely stand by her. He assists her in taking back her identity. By his urging, she begins to attend therapy, exploring all the depths of her trauma and acknowledging the emotional wounds Kody left upon her. Therapy isn't healing, it's empowering. It's the start of Christine reclaiming her life. Her path is still painful, but it's no longer about staying alive. It's about becoming stronger, step by step. Christine's emotional development is a story of courage, strength, and hard-fought transformation. It is a potent reminder that no matter how dark things seem to get, there is hope for healing. But it takes an enormous amount of courage and inner fortitude to look reality straight in the eye and stand tall in the face of a relationship that feels emotionally suffocating. One of the most infuriating aspects of Kody Brown's behavior throughout Sister Wives is his constant and brazen refusal to take responsibility. Responsibility is apparently a foreign concept to him. Whenever his manipulation or transgressions are mentioned, he becomes defensive, evasive, and frequently downright belligerent. Seeing it play out on screen makes one wonder, how does someone so actively refuse to own up to their own role in the breakdown of their family? Kody has nearly mastered the technique of diversion. Whenever Christine, or one of the other wives, is pointing out his emotional remoteness, blatant favoritism, or complete lack of empathy, he turns the spotlight right back on them. In all situations, he portrays himself as the victim. This perpetual attempt to avoid ownership sets up a perpetual cycle of unresolved conflict, mistrust, and emotional devastation. Again and again, Christine has attempted to speak to him about their failing marriage, only to be dismissed. Kody doesn't deflect. He blames her outright, as if everything that is going wrong is somehow her fault. At one especially insightful point, Christine opens up about feeling emotionally abandoned, and how does Kody react? With cold, emotionless detachment, no apology, no acknowledgement, not even a nod of trying to get where she is. Rather, he makes the entire dialogue about his emotions, portraying himself as the patient husband victimized by his wives. It's a classic case of emotional manipulation. By deflecting the conversation back to his own perceived hurt, Kody is successfully sidestepping Christine's actual pain. And this pattern is not limited to Christine. It is enacted in his relationships with Mary and Janelle as well. Whether it's coldness, emotional distance, or verbal favoritism, Kody never actually owns up to the hurt that he inflicts. His need to control and dominate only exacerbates the dysfunction within the home. But call him out, he rapidly deflects blame elsewhere. Kody's refusal to own up is extremely damaging. It's like he feels if he just ignores an issue, it will simply disappear. But that holds only temporarily. At some point, Christine, Janelle, and the rest stop believing the fantasy. They start to perceive the truth behind the cover-up. Kody's inability to own up to his mistakes isn't simply a character flaw. It's one of the biggest reasons that the family continues to disintegrate. In the end, this refusal will only make him all the more alone. His actions also speak to a deep lack of development. Kody doesn't grow. Kody doesn't evolve. He stays stuck, trapped in a world he's built where he is always correct. And it's heartbreaking to see. But the manipulation doesn't end with merely the emotional and relational dynamics within the family. It's taken up on the legal battlefield as well, especially in the aftermath of his marriage to Christine. The manner in which Kody approached their court battles over custody and child support is as infuriating as it is revelatory. It illustrates just how far he's willing to go to remain in control, even if it's at the cost of his own children. Let's be real. Kody's actions throughout the process of custody and support are smacking of narcissism. He didn't battle Christine emotionally. No, he brought it to the financial level as well. When Christine pushed for custody and child support, she was doing what any good parent would, seeking a stable and nurturing future for her daughter, truly. But rather than honor that choice, Kody snapped. He was unwilling to own up to his responsibility as a father and started manipulating the situation in his direction. Maybe the most revealing manipulation in this court fight is Kody's outright defiance at contributing child support. He pleaded, downplayed its value, and attempted to guilt Christine out of pursuing it entirely. The reality? He didn't want to be held accountable. He just wanted control over Christine. Kody even went as far as to react as if Christine's legal actions were a personal affront. He framed her choice not as a reasonable decision for her child's sake, but as a betrayal or defiance against his rule. Even went so far as to use terms such as undermining to defend his own defiance, implying that Christine's behavior was in some way disrespectful to him. It's another narcissistic control classic. By setting the problem up in this way, Kody keeps it about his hurt ego instead of his failure as a co-parent. But the reality is this. Kody can't spin this tale. What he does is manipulative and incredibly controlling. Christine asking for legal safeguards for her child isn't a revenge play. It's a radical step toward independence. She's taking what's required for truly, not to harm Kody, but for safety and support. And still, Kody uses the legal system as a means of control, attempting to coerce Christine back into submission. Let's not overlook the emotional burden this fight places upon Christine. In addition to recovering from the decades of gaslighting and abandonment, she now must battle merely to gain simple financial assistance for her child. This shouldn't even be a battle. A responsible, loving father would never make the mother of his child endure such. Rather, Kody makes his own children game pieces in a larger fight of manipulation. Ultimately, this constant cycle of toxic behavior demonstrates how far-reaching Kody's dominance need is, encroaching even on legal process. His unwillingness to accept his role in the dysfunction and his ongoing manipulations are obvious manifestations of emotional abuse. And through all of this turmoil, one thing becomes more and more obvious. Kody Brown is the family's truth teller. While Kody is busy twisting facts to protect his image, Christine stands firm, calling out toxic behavior and holding him accountable. But being the one who speaks the truth comes with its own heavy cost, especially when you're facing off against someone who will go to any length to avoid taking the blame. Christine has always been that person. She's the one who's bold enough to name the elephant in the room, even if it comes at the cost of facing the raw truth behind Kody's controlling ways. Christine says what others are too terrified to say, and because of that, she's become a target. Kody has attempted to shut her down at every turn, gaslighting her to make her question her own emotions and doubt her own reality. But Christine is not that same woman anymore, the woman who once went out of her way, attempting to gain Kody's approval. She is now a strong, tough cookie. One of the most notable aspects of her change is how fearless she is about revealing the truth concerning Kody's behavior, no matter the cost to herself. Where others have danced around Kody's abusive behavior, Christine has never been afraid to call a spade a spade. Emotional manipulation and abuse control. That stark honesty is what makes her so riveting, particularly when contrasted with Kody's constant rounds of blaming and denial. Her strength, her refusal to be silenced, her willingness to defend her children even when it means going to war, those are things Kody simply cannot deal with. His world depends on maintaining control and crushing opposition. Christine, in his head, is an immediate threat because she won't perform the role he wrote for her. She destroyed the script, and he can't abide. Each time they argue with each other, one thing is absolutely clear. Christine is telling the truth, and Kody can't get away from it. He can twist, dance around, and deny, but the truth holds strong. And that's what makes Christine's voice so compelling. Yet, that battle is expensive. The psychological weight Christine bears, having to defend her life from someone so controlling, is enormous. But she does not relent. Why? Because the only way she can keep herself and her children safe from the poison of Kody is to fight. That level of courage doesn't develop overnight, but it shows how far Christine has traveled. She's no longer the woman who cowered at Kody's disapproval. She's now the one calling him out. The contrast between Christine's unflinching truthfulness and Kody's evasive, blame-loaded behavior couldn't be sharper. As he dodges accountability and plays victim, she remains steady, grounded in reality. And in a broken family like theirs, reality is the one thing no one can steal from her. That's why Christine is the strongest player in this poison game. And in every family, the emotional climate inevitably affects the children. In the Browns' case, it's painfully obvious that the ones really suffering are the children. And of all the effects, perhaps the saddest is what it has done to Truly, Christine's youngest daughter. While Kody continues gaslighting, denying, and manipulating, the destruction goes quietly into the lives of the most vulnerable. Truly, although young, isn't immune. She started to feel the dysfunction around her. Christine's battle for custody and support wasn't about legal documents alone. It was a statement that Truly should have better. She should have a life free of emotional turmoil, a home that heals, not shatters. Christine knew she had to move, not just for herself, but for the emotional well-being of her daughter. Kody's actions have profoundly broken the family, and it is seen in the effects it has had on Truly. His inconsistency, his emotional absence, his attempts to control, these have marked it so that Christine could no longer turn a blind eye to it. And even though she had attempted to protect her children from the worst of it, there's a time when enough is enough. For Christine, that was the day she decided to pursue legal action. In taking full custody and child support wasn't about revenge. It was self-preservation. It was Christine placing a boundary and saying, "You don't get to destroy our lives anymore." She has had a lot to say over the years about the emotional abuse and manipulation the children have endured. And regardless of how diligently Kody tries to spin it, blaming Christine and playing the victim himself, the reality is plain as day. His refusal to take responsibility for his actions is hurting his children. Kody insists on acting the martyr and says Christine's legal actions are personal attacks on him. However, what she is really doing is based on love, protection, and responsibility. She's defending her children, especially Truly, so they might heal and grow in peace and not under the shadow of Kody's manipulation. Christine's choice to protect Truly from that world illustrates just how far she's come. It reflects the fierce, mothering impulse that has always been in her, but now with a backing of self-respect and wisdom. And more than anything, it serves as a testament to just how important it is to provide kids with the space and the foundation to heal from emotional trauma, no matter how difficult or knotted the journey may be. In the end, what we've witnessed through Christine's journey is nothing short of a powerful display of resilience. She didn't just leave Kody, she fought. She fought for her peace of mind, for her children's futures, and for the right to live without manipulation. Yes, Kody controlled her for years. Yes, he gaslit and guilt-tripped and emotionally withheld. But Christine found her voice, and that voice is now her strength. This battle is far from finished, but the most important war has already been won. Christine took back her power. She's not just surviving anymore, she's protecting, building, healing. And no matter what attempts Kody makes to distort the narrative, Christine's reality holds strong. Her bravery to stand up, to speak out against the manipulation, and to prioritize her daughter's happiness, that's the essence of her change. And it's something that should be celebrated, remembered, and revered. So tell me, friends, has Christine's journey made you understand the complexities of a toxic relationship more? Or are you still holding out for Kody to finally own up? Leave your comments below. I really want to know what you think. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe to TLC Next Chapter for more in-depth dives and unfiltered breakdowns from the Sister Wives world. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.